Okay, it seems like Gooby is having some troubles getting his computer to be able to connect to stream, so it's my turn. We're gonna do the mystery run, and I didn't have it as a mystery run on the schedule to like keep you. Man, that looks perfect from behind the curtain. To keep you guys in like any sense of bated breath anticipation or anything like that. No, it's actually because I genuinely was not sure what I wanted to put in this slot. I knew I wanted to put something. I started off, actually, all the games I was considering are visible on screen right now. I started off thinking about a game called Hue. Hue is a game I ran for a very long time. I think I have the most attempts on record of any game of that game. I had the world record for a long, long time. Don't anymore. There's a new tech found for that game just last week that I cannot reliably do. I was already pretty much planning to quote unquote retire from the game anyway, and now it really seems like a good time for that because eh, it's just not fun for me to run anymore. Don't at all regret my time with it though, and I definitely still will remain part of the community. The next game I was considering is Gravity Ghost, which is a platformer where it's considered like a child's view of the afterlife, where you're this ghost floating through space, and there's various puzzles that you have to solve. Basically, it's find the exit kind of puzzles. You have to grab a key or a star, but it's a key basically, and find your way to a door to exit various levels. And there's a story told out of sequence, non-linearly, I guess is the term I'm looking for. That's very touching, of course, and it's a pretty game. It's got nice music. I cannot play it fast. I only started playing it a few days ago. My entire first playthrough was 3 hours. It's a pretty short game, but it's not do a run in a marathon short. Not yet, just for me. The world record speed run is 40 minutes flat. I was, practicing it the last couple of nights thinking if I could get it under an hour and a half, I'd try it, but no. There's still stages that I'm spending minutes and minutes and minutes on. So that's something to work on for the future. Plus, I don't really know any routing yet to know which stages to do, which stages not to do. So instead, the game that's going in the mystery slot is a game called Days Gone. No, I'm just fucking with you. It's Escape Plan. You probably don't know this game. That's okay. I'll explain it to you. I am going to run Days Gone, though. And the estimate is monkeys. I put an hour on the schedule, but I really don't have any idea how long this game is going to run. So this game's really unique. This is definitely a game unlike any game I've ever played before or since. I tend to call it a strategy game masquerading as a puzzle platformer because it looks like a platformer, it feels like a platformer, it quacks like a platformer, but it's not really a platformer. The except in the sense that you change elevation. There's not really any jumping. There's more falling, and one of the characters can, in a sense, fly. But really, what the speed run comes down to is properly optimized sequence of movements. There's a lot more going on under the hood than you think in a very good run, which is this is not going to be. I actually submitted this game for Light R's Diet Hoot Fest with the perfectly truthful comment that I've done one run of this game in the last 3 years. But I'm, happy to derust it. I really do love this game. I wish other people would run it, though I fully understand why they don't. It's not the fastest paced game in the world. It's not a pulse pounding, exciting game. It is what it is, but it's, a beautiful black and white game. Classical music OST. I mean, come on. This is the PS4 remaster of the original PS Vita game. And there's various control differences. You see this cursor on the screen. Anything I do with this cursor in the original PS Vita version would be done by physically touching the console, the screen on the console. And I said earlier today that we weren't going to get Goose Egg today. That's because I'm going to do $1 a death. And I did a practice run earlier today. I died 29 times. So we're gonna do okay, I think. My PB for this game is 36:19. If I come within 10 minutes of that, I'll be happy. And I don't even know what the menus are, because this is the costume selection screen. About half of these are unlocked by default. Some of them you have to do DLCs for. Oh, I think I broke it. It's not even changing them. Oh, there we go. Or Luchador. The one that really kind of makes me go Monka S is Timeless. He's a baby with a sash and a top hat and a binky in his mouth. Ugh. But I always just use the originals. And I actually put a save file on the cloud so that this game counts your deaths, but in a decision I really wish they hadn't gone with, it counts them forever. If you play the game over again, you start off with the same death count again. The characters have their respective death counts literally on their bodies. So I put a save file on the cloud that completely cleared the game so I could, do the DLCs with 0 deaths for each character. So that is what we will be working on if I can. Oh, I'm dumb. I was thinking of the clean run mode, which is what I've used for PB attempts in the past, but I can just hit start. I don't have to do any complicated menuing. It should be right at the beginning of the game. Yeah, I'm so dumb. Everything's cleared. Yeah, this game does have a story. I may or may not touch on it as I go on. I don't think any of the story is conveyed through the opening cutscene, but we can watch it. Oh. Actually, I should do this instead. Lil and Larg are our 2 starring characters. Their names are apropos and descriptive. Captured by Bakuki. Lil's fate is unclear. Bakuki is the villain, of course. Perhaps you can help? I guess that is the story to this point. That's really all you know. Time starts at first input, which is clicking on Lil to wake him up. 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm just pressing the X button to repeatedly click on him. I don't think you actually have to do this, but there's nothing else to do. The first few rooms are extremely basic. I basically just introduce you to the controls. That's done with an R2. In the original PS Vita version of the game, that would be done by tapping the back of the console. And you stop the character from moving forward by pressing down on the D-pad. Oh, thought that was almost $1 right off the bat. Trust me, the food bank's gonna get some money during this run. Yeah, I had to press that brick out of the way or else Lil would have tripped over it and exploded. Trust me. Destroying the lamp was just for fun. Get the brick out of the way and the cot. You can break that. You can do this as well. There's various little bits of meaningless swag in the various rooms. Pull those out with R2. You push them back in with an X input. If you do it just right, they move a little forward almost imperceptibly. It saves frames. Maybe even frame. This will retract after a moment, but it's well more than enough time to cross. that's what it is if you have the proper strats. I would agree with that. I think you're kind of shitting me, but I would agree with that. That's one of Lil's special abilities, is to drink coffee and dash really fast. Basically, you want to turn each stage into an auto scroll. I think you were kind of tongue-in-cheek in there, but that's actually pretty accurate. You might see those warning signs in the background. Those are the collectibles for the game. Neat little optimization in this room. Drink the coffee. Walk forward a little bit without dashing. Get those dashes just right. You not only dash over a pit in midair, you also dash all the way to the exit. It's pretty cool. There's Larg in the background. This is always one of my favorite rooms when I run this game against splits, because it has 2 inputs and the rest is quite literally an auto-scroller. Yet I have had variances in this room in my timing of upwards of a full second. So, go figure. And sometimes when I've offered this game to marathons, I've considered a save or kill the sheep incentive, because they're sheep and you can totally kill them. There's actually a PS4 trophy for killing the sheep in every room possible. Trust me, I'll leave the rest of them alone. Except as needed. This room is really looks cool when it's tightly optimized. I've completely forgotten how to do it, so I'll just do it the slow way, which is to get him there. That goes splat. Pull that down so Larg can cross. Pull this down so he can cross. You can do all of this in one fluid motion without Larg ever stopping from the beginning of the room. It's really cool when it goes right. This is the first level that, spoilers, introduces Lil and Larg together. I love their little voices. You just saw Larg's 2 abilities there to butt slam through weak sections of the floor above and roll through walls that are similarly weak. And pull that mattress down. Larg can butt slam through this. Lil might die. Yep, that's $1 for the food bank. I reserve the right to make it 50 cents a death if it gets out of hand. Larg walks slightly faster than Lil, so you always want to start Lil first. Except there, he starts in front of Larg anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The crank in that last room was turned by drawing circles on the PS4 touchpad, the DualShock controller. And again, on the Vita version of the game, you would draw those on the actual Vita screen. Just plug those up by clicking on them with X. May have plugged the second one too soon. No, we're good. I don't know why I stopped Larg. You can't actually die in that ascent. And one little optimization, they move faster when they're not on camera. Don't know why. It's not by much, but it does add up. Get Lil to drink the coffee here. If you do that perfectly, you can end up with Lil right next to the button. It's pretty ridiculous, though. Sometimes Larg can just die here. He didn't that time. So here's the basically kinda sorta flying I mentioned before starting the run. You drink the helium, you press circle to deflate once, and you float upward. Press it again, and you get a burst in the direction you're facing. Press it a third time, and you would go all the way to the ground. Yeah, you see I'm fully inflated here. The game does not expect you to deflate through that previous hole in the ceiling. But there's no reason not to. It's much faster. Yeah, this art style is called chiaro oscuro. That's Italian. It basically just means black and white, but it is noted as, you know, quote-unquote an actual art style, whoever decides what an actual art style is. Get a nice downward thrust there. Do our last thrust about here. Should get us right next to the helium tank. Pretty close, only 2 steps away. And then we can burst through that hole in the wall. Ah, I see. Well, I'll leave that up to interpretation, I suppose. Drink the coffee, go back to step on the switch. You may have noticed it opened the door. Okay, open the door. There we go. That was actually longer than I needed to wait. If I had stayed in there too long, a drum up top, you saw those drums in the conveyor belt, one would have come out that was leaking oil, and getting hit with oil would kill Lil or Larg. There's rooms later on where they're both susceptible to it. Earlier in the game, you generally only control one or the other. There are some rooms where you control both. As you progress towards the end of the game, more and more of the rooms will feature both characters at the same time, and I just screwed up. Yeah, that's really slow. It's not catastrophic, of course, but it's really slow. I should have been holding the... Oh, and that's another thing I didn't mention. When Lil is floating upwards, the way he faces is determined by physically moving the DualShock 4 controller, or, again, in the original PS Vita version, the Vita console itself. Excellent, Gooby, so you'll be on next. I'm so happy to hear that. And the optimal strat here is to do your second burst downward towards the razor blades. It is every bit as risky as it sounds, so I will not do it in a marathon run. Okay, give me the details in Discord. We'll get it figured out. You can do that last burst towards the door there, and Lil actually exits the room in midair. It's pretty good. We have a few rooms with Larg now. These ones are very simple. You just pull these out for him. Awesome, Cody. Awesome. Alright, so this room introduces the blades. Larg can press up against the flat... Okay, no he can't. There's rooms where he can. Apparently this one he can't. Press up against the flat of the blade. Lil can actually walk on the flat of the blade. So that's $2 for the food bank. Remember, kids, smoking kills. This one's a little busy, but not too bad. Free-range sheep. What we need the sheep to do here is step on this button. We need both of them to step on it. The way the sheep are controlled is you click near them and it scares them and they move the other direction. Clicking on them directly makes them stop moving. They are very, very picky. Okay, it's usually not this bad. There we go. There are rooms later on where it's even worse. You may notice the star rankings that come up after I clear a stage. That is based solely on the completion time of your winning attempt. You could die in a room 500 times, and if you're fast the time you clear it, you'll still get 3 stars. You don't even have to be that fast. There have been times when I was convinced I was too slow to get 3 stars, and I still got 3 stars. This room is extremely technical if you are good at the video game, which I am currently not. So I'm just gonna do the do. Because there is a minion, that's what these things are called, is minions, there. The input sequence to do that optimally is very tight and complicated. That minion just goes kersplat under the elevator. Or I suppose you could kill him on these rotating platforms, but there's no reason to. But Cookie's not having it. Send Larg to the exit, pulling that switch as Lil opens it. They don't have to exit together. Larg can go now, and I'm gonna wait for this cycle, because I'm scared. I timed it out. It is actually faster to drink the coffee here and do coffee dashes to the exit rather than just walking, even though the coffee drinking animation is fairly long. This room's fun to do. Because you stop and start and stop and start. Yeah, ideally that wouldn't happen, but honestly, usually it does, that Larg gets stopped by that first door. And then Lil has to push this button. But we want Larg to get closer to the exit door anyway. Hey, Carl. I call this core game any percent because there are several DLCs for this game. They're all quite good. And one of these days I want to do a full game run of this. The base game and all of the DLCs. Never have. I've only ever really run one of them. So there was a very low audio cue there for me to know when to stop Larg's movement, and I got him right on the button. By letting Lil float down to this button, we can thrust him out the door once it opens, because they just need to, both characters, be on the buttons. They don't have to be standing on them. This room is a run killer in PB attempts because of the sheep. I have lost many a run to this room. Not only are the sheep difficult to control, they can also just glitch out and not move at all. They're being okay this time. Ideally, we'd want... Yeah, that's what can happen to them. Ideally, we'd want all 3 of them going through, but 2 should be enough. Okay, 2's not enough. That's $3 for the food bank. Alright, all 3 of them came through that time. I really thought 2 would be enough. Move it, sheep! Yeah, you see why this room is a run killer. Wow! I'm surprised they made it through. Looked like they were super glitched. There we go. Like I say, if I can come within 10 minutes of my PB, I'll be happy. And you see, I still got 3 stars in that room, even though that took 800,000 years. And minions are attracted to clicks. That's how you position them where you want them to be. That might be too far to fall. Okay, no, it's good. Actually, that was pretty perfect. This is the shortest room. Other than the room in one of the DLCs where you literally do nothing. You enter, you turn around, and go back out. The room is called Death Trap, so it's kind of a hint to that. Shocking balls. This introduces a new environmental trap. You click them to make them switch positions. First one's fairly simple. They will get more complicated. Especially now that we have to drink some helium and float up through them. Even that one's still pretty simple, I guess. Pop Top used to be the hardest room in the game for me. There's a lot going on, and it's tough to do it fast. Until you know everything that's going on, it is tough to do it at all. I'm certainly not doing it what I would consider fast right now. If I was doing it fast, all of those three things would have happened at once. That will come back out after a moment. As will that one. As will that one. There, that's what we need to do. But this one will also retract after a moment. Okay. It's pretty tight. It's not an easy room. But I can remember the times when getting that room first try meant I was in good shape to get a PB, even this early in the game. That one's pretty simple. Nice. Kind of have to take a blind drop there, but I don't think I've actually ever died to that. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more complicated levels with the shock balls. Okay, that happened. Because not only do you have a minion to kill, you have a sheep to get in position through two of them. Ideally, you want to get the sheep on the button while Larg is still in stride. I have done it. It's probably in my gold split and my splits, but it's really hard to do. That was actually pretty close. That was not bad at all. This stage is also pretty trivial. That's one of the things I like about this game, is that the stage difficulty doesn't simply ramp up. There's easy stages and hard stages sprinkled all throughout. The minion hits the button to make the hammer swing down. After that, you just walk out. He'll try to keep hitting the button. Nothing will ever happen. Bubble Butt. This introduces the bubbles. You click on it, and then you use the touchpad to guide it to your character. And then once your character's in it, to guide your character's movements. You can pop a bubble by double-clicking it, which becomes necessary in some later rooms. This is another run killer room. And again, it's because of the sheep. You need to bring down 5 sheep to stand on these buttons here. I mean, that's 5 sheep, but I've never done this in less than 3 cycles. Even 3 is pretty okay, because I'm not going to get this trailing sheep. Okay, 2 more. And the game knows exactly how many to spawn. Okay, the last one didn't make it over the edge. That's fun. That's real fun. I feel like this should be doable in 2 cycles. I'm not sure 1 cycle is actually possible, but I feel like 2 should be. Yeah, there's some minions up above here. There's actually 2 of them, I do believe. Yep. You may recognize this as a room Larg came through the other direction. You will see more of that as we go on. This is another room Larg came through going the other direction. This one's probably a little easier to recognize because of the sheep. But whereas Larg went down in this room, Lil has to go up. And if you're super optimal, you can thrust through that hole in the ceiling. But if you get it wrong, you lose the ability to go through it at all. It's a huge time loss. This is not as easy as it looks. It's very easy to hit those spikes. So the idea here is the platform is extended when both of these batteries are back, but they have to both come forward for it to be extended back again, or retracted back again. We'll see that concept expanded on in some later rooms. There's minions. Yes, plural. This room. And they're dead now. Lil can survive this fall. They can survive a fall of 1 unit of height. And we have a helpful arrow in case we miss this button. Thank you, arrow. Shoutouts to arrows. And there we go. This room in my D-Rust run this morning, wasn't even last night, but this morning, this room took me the most tries. Now, these square-shaped platforms, they will only move when you interact with them. They won't ever change back on their own. Looks like there's multiple ways to solve this. There aren't. You can only solve it from the higher path. As I say, there's not really jumping in this game. Lil can float when he drinks helium, but there's no jumping. But given the pseudo-platforming nature of this, you may be forgiven for forgetting that in some cases. Hot footing it as we draw circles on the DualShock touchpad to make that fan turn. And here's another room with electrified platforms and these battery things. Pop goes the minion. And again, they have to both be forward at the same time, all the way forward, for the electrified platforms to become electrified again. That's how you avoid frying a Lil. This room also took several tries in the D-Rust. Larg should be good to move as far to the right as he can. We'll find out if he can't. There we go. Yeah, Larg's actually already exited the room. Okay, that was not too bad. So yeah, if I would have shown that on camera, and again, I've actually kind of forgotten this, they move faster when they're not on camera. Larg would have actually been walking against the flat of that blade the whole time. This is one of our first rooms that combines some of the concepts we've seen so far. Smoke, coffee, and oil in this room. We have to dash through that. There's no way Lil's fast enough otherwise. We can plug that so Larg can walk through. I love Lil's giddy little giggles when he's high on coffee. And it's always 3 bursts with the coffee. This is the only room where you can die by doing nothing. If you stand still and do nothing, eventually Lil will die from the smoke. And I should have plugged these sooner. Dead. That actually only counts as 1 death. You'll only see the numbers increase 1. They were 1 and 2, now they're going to be 2 and 2. No! It counted it as 2 deaths. I've never seen that before. All right, that's awesome. Well, that's $2 for the food bank then. I also reserve the right to make it $2 a death if we're not raising enough. There we go. Secondhand smoke is bad for you, kids. Here's one of Larg's other abilities. This, I believe, is the only room in the core game where he does it. You just draw upward lines on the touchpad while he's interacting with this wheel. Valve, I guess, to turn it. That increases the pressure in the pipes, which makes smoke burst out of whatever these are. Holes, I guess is all you would call them. You're debated a little bit because you think the next one is going to be by the minion. It's actually there and then the one by the minion. After that, the room will rapidly fill up with smoke. You have to really look after everything. Only Lil can hit that button, Larg can't, but we're on our way. This room's a trap for new players because you have to do that first to make Lil able to... okay, we almost walked into the blade there. To make Larg, actually, able to walk through it all. And actually, even if you get this far, if Larg is too far back on the lift platform here, the blade will still kill him. I love how they kind of fourth wall break after a moment if you don't give them any instructions. They're like, you gonna do anything? Even though they always have the same facial expression, that seems to be what their facial expression is saying to me in that moment. A little bit further forward. It's not really an optimal sequence to do this. You kind of need to do 3 different, very separate things in 3 different, very separate areas. So it's really hard to do all that at the same time. If you're really good at the video game, you can get Lil to land directly on the button. Didn't. That's okay. Not a huge, huge deal. Got a shock ball here. We need to not have that hit our sheep. We need to bring 2 sheep down. I've never done it in 1 cycle. In fact, I'm not even going to get that one on the button right away. I'm just going to bring the other sheep down first. Oh no, sheep! Rip sheep! F's in the chat for the sheep. Yeah, fortunately, having 2 sheep on the button at any time ensures that the doors stay open. They don't have to stay on the button while Lil and Larg are on their buttons. Or I guess I mean while Lil and Larg are leaving. So this stage starts off with Lil hitting this button, drinking some helium. I almost said coffee, but drinking some helium to go through a door up top that Larg will reach eventually when this lift platform gets there. That's why this is kind of a good example of why I get why this isn't everybody's first choice as a speed game, because the characters and even the environment, they move as fast as they move. There's not really any speeding them up. But when you really get good at this game, there's so much more going on than meets the eye. That's why I call it a strategy game masquerading as a platformer. And basically the whole story of the game is Lil and Larg escaping from Bakuki's prison. One of the DLCs is actually a prequel that shows how they end up there. Spoilers, a sausage cannon is involved. You want to do that roll in such a way that Larg does not walk into the oil. That's a good pattern. Yeah, oil drops are RNG. There's not much RNG in this game. That's one of the few examples. Wait for that smoke to clear. Very good. Yeah, you can lose a lot of time in this room to oil drop RNG. Like I am. $6 for the food bank. Or 12 in case, you know. Hell, if I'm deathless the rest of the way, I'll make it $3 a death. Because I want it to be around 20. You know, spoiler alert. Cookie's Health Spa, this is a very tough level your first time playing it. Once you get the idea, it's not so bad, but it's still one of the tougher levels. Because you have to cross this lava pit using the very limited resources. And I may have just effed it up. Nope, got there. Of the helium float. Yeah, you can never stop the shock balls mid-rotation, so you really have to time that well. With Lil going through it, the other shock balls weren't moving right away. That was a little nervy. Leap of Faith, this is a very tough room. Your first time and afterward, I would say, get to there, do 2 coffee dashes, knock that back, land in a bubble. Okay, that's why it's called Leap of Faith. You can definitely still die here if you pop this bubble from too great a height, or don't pop it at all. Lil will die from the fall damage. That went well. I'm glad to not die in that room. Okay, I couldn't remember if there were minions in this room. Will can survive a fall, Askin Larg, of 1 unit of distance. So he can survive that fall, but he could not have fallen from here directly to here. That would have killed him. This is the single most ergonomically incorrect stage of the game. Because you have to draw circles with the touchpad while pressing X to move these pistons back. Ugh, that hurts the hand. Beware the Claw, tough stage. This is a very tough stage. It's not just the pinchers of these claws you have to avoid. You have to avoid getting hit by the claws at all. Any part of them, if they hit Lil, will kill him. So you have to cut it close to there. Go through that. $7 for the food bank. Yeah, my holy grail of this was always to do a deathless run. Never have gotten it. My personal best on deaths is 1. And as if to demonstrate that speedrun strats do play an important part in speedrunning this game, my current PB has 5 deaths. It is significantly faster than my 1 death run, and I just screwed up again. Because I can't make that. $8. Yeah, I meant to mention that once we got past the claws, we were not out of the woods yet. Because you gotta have momentum going through that boxy area up top. This room's a run killer, but this is kind of one of the rooms where you don't... Well, you always mind it being a run killer, but you respect it for being a run killer, because this is genuinely a hard room. Like, that could have killed me right there. Very, very easily. There we go. In theory, you should be able to float all the way up here, you know, by pushing these back and just going through the hole in the ceiling as I'm doing right there. Never done it, and I'm not convinced it's actually faster. This is another room where you have to remember Larg can survive a fall of 1 unit of distance. So you can't go nuts tapping these things. The level name Tap It While It's Hot, Tap It Like It's Hot, is kind of a misnomer. You don't really want to do that. What did I do? I think that's what Larg wants to know, too. Okay, that was weird, but I didn't die. Oh, 2 stars! Oh, God! Rip run! I'm really happy with the speedrun strat we have for this stage. I think the game wants you to bring these sheep down and have them stand in front of the minions' poison blow darts to have them not hit Larg and kill him, but instead and simply have the lift platform itself block the darts. And it's not even as tight as it sounds. So that level was really over before I could explain what I was doing. I only today found out that you only need 1 of those 3 wooden planks on the top to hold the girder. I always pulled out all 3 previously. This room is actually how far I took my furthest truly deathless attempt. You can sort of cheese out the deaths by quitting out and restarting a room before the death animation plays. I didn't want to do that during this run because it would distort the actual death count because it wouldn't increase the numbers on the characters' bodies, but, you know, that run was technically deathless. It had a 0 on each character at the end of it, but I did die once there. This is another level with bubbles. Tiny bubbles in the wine. Makes me happy, makes me feel fine. I should never sing. Mixing some concepts we've learned about, but it's ultimately pretty simple. Yes, the pun was quite lost on me the first time I ever made splits for this level, for this game. I called this level Blades of Glory. It's Blades of Gory. That's the fun and exciting sense of humor this game has. So I died 29 times this morning. It looks like we're going to finish with 8 this time. That's not too bad at all. There is one stage after this one, so maybe I shan't count my chickens before they hatch, or however that metaphor goes. Also, I did this room incredibly slowly. You can get both characters to the exit at basically the same time. Rocket Man! For the longest time in the world, I thought the smoke from the rocket killed Lil when I walked over to hit this button. It's actually this brick here. So forever, I was taking a bubble, bringing it over to Lil over here. Okay, we're just going to waste a little time here because that's fun. I was bringing a bubble over here to him and going up and around when all I had to do was hit that one brick. Might have actually been faster to do it that time. It's okay. The game kind of makes you feel like... And also, Larg being in that rocket is explained in the cutscene we skipped. The game kind of makes you feel like you have to look after both characters here. You don't. You only have to look after Lil. Larg's in a freaking rocket. He's making it out of here no matter what happens. Very nice. And then Bakuki is going to forget how gravity works. It doesn't make you float in midair like bubbles do. Time when the stat screen for Gravity Man comes up. And that is time. 4207. Not too shabby at all. I said I'd be happy with 10 minutes inside of my PB. My PB is 3619, so there we go. That was 8 total deaths. The food bank's getting more than 8 of my dollars, don't worry. Lil and Larg have escaped from the cruel Bakuki. That didn't look good. You actually have control of the characters and their bubbles in the credits. There is a brief cutscene that plays after the credits that is kind of neat, kind of funny. It shows the characters in their home. Larg is sleeping on a bed with an obnoxiously undersized sheet covering him, and Lil is nearby. I don't know about this song, but the second song that plays during the credits will 100% get the VOD muted, so we won't go there. We'll just get set up for the next run. Hope you enjoyed that one. It's a game I really enjoy, and I would love to have more competition in.